Okay, so in my email today, as well as on YouTube recommendations, I've basically been bombarded today with information about the new Cadillac Celeste IQ. Celestique, if you call it that, but basically the IQ portion tells you it's an electric Cadillac, regardless what the name is. As you know, I've ordered a Lyric, which is basically a Lear IQ, I guess. It's all up to whatever they want to call this thing. But basically, they were trying to say that this thing is going to be $300,000. It's going to be fully customizable. So when you customize this thing, if they're going to make it fully customizable, that's going to be really interesting because, see, when you talk about bespoke vehicles like, say, a Bugatti or a Lamborghini or what is it called, Rolls Royce or Bentley, basically, when you go into these dealerships, like we have one not far away called Lamborghini Long Island, where you can have a Bentley, Lamborghini, or Rolls Royce specced out while you sit there, right? Basically, you sit in front of the guy and the guy shows you like a whole catalog brochure of colors and finishes and wood finishes and this, that, and other. And you could basically build that car from ground up. And on top of that, you can add in things like if you have a family name plaque or if you have like a crest or something, like if you're one of these rich ass Europeans or if you're one of those Russian oligarchs or something and you have a crest in your name and this, that, and other, you can have all of that stuff tailored into the car. So when you're talking about $300,000, they're trying to make it appear that having all of this customization makes this car worth $300,000. Now, first of all, as far as I'm concerned, there ain't nothing that's ever going to roll out of any GM factory worth $300,000 up until the day we have flying cars. Right now, they got people paying $150,000 for Escalades, and I'm not sure exactly how much of Hummer GM still owns, but they got people paying a $250,000 for a Hummer, $250,000. As far as I'm concerned, the only way I could ever see a $300,000 car rolling out of Cadillac is if it's an electric Escalade that is the size or bigger, an electric Escalade ESV that is like the size of one of those Hummers, only a lot bigger. And that thing is completely electric and that shit weighs about 10,000 pounds or something on that order. That's the only way I could ever see it. Like, and there's people out there who absolutely would pay it because they would have bought an ESV at $150,000 to $175,000, fully loaded because they're rich and they got big families. But short of the Cadillac CN, I can't imagine Cadillac putting out a $300,000 car. If that happens and they prove me wrong, okay, that sounds great, but I just don't see it. First of all, from what I've seen in these pictures of the Celeste IQ, basically it's the exact same thing that you're getting in a Cadillac Lyric. The only difference being the amount of customization that you can put into the car. In reality, nobody wants a $300,000 Cadillac. What people want at the most is maybe a $100,000 Cadillac, which actually makes me wonder why it is I'm getting the Lyric for only $70,000. I think GM made a mistake when they priced it. I think they would have priced it higher because I can almost see, based on what I've seen of the Lyric is actually an amazing interior, and it's an electric car that gets over 300 miles. So I'm actually surprised that the price isn't a lot higher. But when you're talking about one of these bespoke cars, now they're trying to say, okay, yeah, it's got 38 speakers, AKG audio. They're saying that it's going to have ultra cruise. It'll be able to mostly drive itself. And they're saying that it's going to have a 600 horsepower motors. It's going to have like over 640 pound-feet of torque. And basically you'll be able to do 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds tops. So yeah, all of that's amazing, but the problem is, we've already seen cars that cost way less than $300,000 that can do exactly that. Even a Porsche Taycan doesn't cost that much money. However, a Porsche Taycan is also not as large of a car as this is going to be. When you're saying $300,000, you're basically saying what you're building is a Maybach that says Cadillac on it. That's what you're talking about. You're talking about a big stretch limousine. Does these pictures make you think stretch limousine? I don't think so. It's not big enough. Cadillac did the exact same thing with the Cadillac CT6. They made it too fucking small. You cannot take on Mercedes and the S-Class unless you're willing to go all out. If you need to borrow my body so you can measure the interior that you need to have, where you can get 5 of me in the back seat of that car and you can get 2 of me in the front seat of the car, oh, I'll do it. I'll come in and we can measure me up. But there's no way that you're charging $300,000 for an electric car that's the size of basically, it's not even as big as, say, an S-Class Maybach. It's just not as big. So my thing is, it's like you're going to end up screwing yourselves over just like the CT6. When you make a bespoke car, people who buy a car like that, they don't want to buy those cars certified pre-owned. When somebody buys one of these cars, that's expected to be built to their specifications. That's their dream and that's their design. Nobody's going to want that car after they're done with it. It's just like, that's the reason why resale value of most of these luxury exotics is so bad. It's because when these people option out these cars, nobody wants to buy them afterwards. So I don't know where Cadillac is going with this, but from what I'm seeing, this is a $100,000 car that they're saying is going to cost $300,000. I don't see anything that makes it look any bigger or any better than the Lyric. Most people are going to want the Lyric anyway, simply because it has higher ground clearance. It's a CUV. My thing is the back seat looked kind of cool, where they're going to make it so that it's exactly the same options as the front seat, heated, cooled massage seats, plus recliners. But I'm just not, when they're talking $300,000, I'm not seeing it. Now, if they had built the CN, which was basically like a Lamborghini competitor, okay, maybe I could see it. But I just don't see it. I just don't see it. It looks great. It looks just like the Lyric does. But I'm not seeing $300,000. Like, this is not what $300,000 look like. If you want to build something that's worth $300,000, you call me, I'll come down there and we'll get it right. Other than that, I'm just not seeing it. Right now, the most I'm seeing is about $150,000. I am not seeing $300,000. I'm sorry. I don't care. Lenny Kravitz, John Legend, Rihanna, I don't care which one of them you get to help you design it. I'm not seeing $300,000. In fact, it's foolish to aim for a number like that. You really should be saying, okay, between $100,000 and $150,000, we're going to make Tesla Plaid and Mercedes EQS competitors. This could be an EQS competitor. This could be an EQS SUV competitor. But this is not a Maybach competitor. This is not, Rolls-Royce just showed you what their new, what is it called? The Spectre is going to look like. Rolls-Royce, that looks like $300,000. In fact, I thought it was going to be $500,000. They said that shit's going to be $375,000 when it comes out. And you can option it up another $100,000. I ain't seeing $300,000 here, but, stay tuned. We'll see what happens.